This is an open letter for Mr. Steven Inskeep and the folks at NPR. Here's the thing, Mr. Inskeep. I was, as always, we were listening to NPR, and first we heard on the same show, as you know. You made the show. On the same show, first we heard from Miss Leila Fadel, the new Arabic name in NPR, that about all the bad things that happened to the brown skins of the Middle East at the hands of the pink skins from across the planet. And we heard a bunch of stories of how bad things are, and it was a bad war, and we are very sorry. It was not, it shouldn't, it went awry, and it shouldn't have, taken place, or this and that and the other. And yeah, we heard a bunch of sad stories that we already know, from Fallujah to Basra to wherever the fuck in that shithole, what the pinkskins did and how horrendous things turned out. And we are very sorry. Bad. That was the message, which was clearly stated by a brown skin that you just hired at NPR, Miss Fadel. But then, within 10 minutes, not even that, within a couple of minutes, it was your piece, Mr. Steve Inskeep, in which, as usual, you brought another pink skin from, as usual, a think tank, which is basically a think tank in Washington, D.C., or think tank in Uncle Sam's land, is basically a front for military industry. Think tanks in the United States, in Uncle Sam's land, are a front for defense industries. Basically, they get a blowjob from defense industry. People who belong to think tanks get a blowjob from the defense industry in the morning, and at lunch they come and tell you how necessary wars are and how necessary is we should be on the offensive, or we beef up our defenses, and at the right moment we go on offense. That's how defense industry works. It's all about defense until, right at the right moment, it all turns into offense. Anyway, so this gentleman who came to talk to you, Mr. Inskeep, was from one of these think tanks, which is, getting paid in the defense industry, who came to your program and told everybody that, yes, China bad, the yellow man bad, the yellow people are bad, we should be prepared, AUKUS is the best, and we should put as much resources as we can into our partnership in AUKUS to be able to contain the yellow man. That was the message. It wasn't it wasn't so refreshingly straightforward. It was, kind of awkward. Oh yeah, the China is bad. China. Here's the thing, folks, Mr. Inskeep. I think you should, if Fox doesn't do it, if MSNBC doesn't do it, if other news organizations don't do it, I think you should set an example and bring back the fairness doctrine. You had, from back in 1940s, you came up with the right solution to this matter of trying to prevent propaganda from taking place. They came up in Uncle Sam's land. They came up with the correct solution, and that was the fairness doctrine. That is, in any issue that you want to speak about, talk to people, you have to bring two people from exactly the opposite perspectives to let people hear both perspectives and let people choose what they prefer. Because here's the thing, without the fairness doctrine, I understand that it's no longer necessary to abide by fairness doctrine, and they scrapped it. But that's the only way you can wash your hands of being a propaganda machine. Because as it is, everyone on this planet believes that the media, the pink-skinned media in Europe and North America, is biased, is a propaganda machine, just like what the Soviet Union had, just like what the Germans had. If you only state or bring somebody to state one side of the perspective, one side of the opinion, you're nothing but a propaganda machine. I don't care if you belong to the left or the right. If you only bring somebody to state their opinion, which is from one perspective, you're nothing but a propaganda machine. So, and recently I and people I know, we found ourselves, we are turning off NPR. When it starts talking about Ukraine, when it starts talking about China, when it starts talking about Russia, when it starts talking about... It seems all the time you bring people in to apologize for the last war, which was based on your last propaganda. 20 years ago you had a certain propaganda, you went by, you spread a certain propaganda, and it was a bad idea, and a war took place. And then 20 years later you bring somebody to apologize for that war, but then start preparing people for the next war by bringing people from, military industry, private military industry fronts such as think tanks, to prepare people for the next war, which apparently it seems to be, next war is either with the Eurasians of Russia or the East Asians of China, or a combination of all of them. You are preparing people for war because you're only drawing one perspective for people, because you have turned into a propaganda machine. Just like Fox, just like MSNBC, just like News Nation, just like almost all Western media, all pink-skinned media in North America and Western Europe are basically propaganda machines. They don't state both sides of the issue. They don't bring people to state both sides of issue. They only bring somebody that, the military industry have introduced to them and say, hey, interview this guy. He states the right opinion. So at the same time, the first 15 minutes of the show, you apologize for the last war, which we were led to the last war because of your propaganda against Iraq and against all the brown people in the Middle East. And now, but you first segment of the show, apologizing for the last piece of propaganda which led to nowhere, which led to bad places. But for the next 15 minutes of the show, you're preparing people to be prepared for the next war. It's just propaganda. The whole thing is propaganda. Now you want to make friends out of brown people by apologizing to them and telling them how bad you fucked them up the ass. And in the next speaks, you're preparing my, common pink-skinned folks, you're preparing them, you're preparing their mindset for a new war, this time against the yellow skins. You're nothing but propaganda. Folks, if you want to be a true, in a true sense, in news broadcasting, in a true sense, you know, you have to bring, you have to, even if it's not mandatory, even if it's no longer mandatory, but you have to abide by you have to follow the fairness doctrine, because the way you're going, which led to Iraq war, or all the wars in the Middle East, Syria war, Afghanistan war, Iraq war, Kuwait war, how the system was led to that is exactly how you're going about presenting the news regarding East Asia. That's exactly the same way. Exactly the same way that things went, which led to the wars with the brownskins, is exactly the same path you're following, which is going to lead to war with the yellowskins. End of story. It's as simple as that. You haven't changed one bit. You just changed the target. You are going down the same path, and you have just changed the target. And the target used to be the brown man and how backward they are, and the brown skins, how backward they are, and we should go save them from their backwardness and from their traditions and culture, and which is bad. You know, all of it. The whole propaganda piece that we have to go save them. And now you have propaganda pieces that how we should go defend against the yellow man, the yellowskins menace. Yellowskin menace? Have the yellowskins come to the Gulf of Mexico looking for a fight? Have them yellowskins running their ships up and down the, you know, Gulf of Baja California looking for a fight? Are the yellowskins anywhere near what the pinkskins consider their land, that looking for a fight? Are the yellowskins running their ship, circling their ship around Australia looking for a fight? They're not. The reality is yellowskins are sitting there at home, working hard, producing, but you're looking for a fight, my pink skin friends. You're looking for a fight. You're at their doorstep. You have surrounded them with military bases. You're looking for a fight. I mean, if I'm sitting at home and you're at my door, banging on my door, which one of us is the aggressor? Simple. You're running, Uncle Sam's managers are running their ships up and down the Taiwan Straits. Uncle Sam's managers are running their ships trying to, you know, they can't run their ships into the Black Sea because they have a treaty over there that only the neighbors of Black Sea can have their warships present in the Black Sea. And that's one of the reasons for the war in Ukraine. Russia doesn't want Ukraine to become part of NATO, which in which case it gives NATO the right to have their ships present in the Black Sea. That's the main reason the Russians don't want Ukraine part of NATO, because they don't want NATO warship in the Black Sea. Or is that escaped all of you at NPR? Never heard you guys bring this matter up on NPR. Again, because as usual, you're a propaganda machine. Maybe once upon a time you guys were not propaganda machines, but it has long passed. you have become propaganda machines, because very basic facts you cover up. The fact that unless Ukraine joins NATO fleet of ships cannot pass the Bosphorus Strait and end up in the Black Sea. You just never mention this. And for the Russians, it's very having, you know, Black Sea not invaded by the NATO warships is very important to them. Just like, you know, I'm sure it's very important to Uncle Sam's managers to not have Gulf of Mexico filled with Russian and Chinese warships. I mean, how comfortable would Uncle Sam's managers feel if, you know, Gulf of Mexico was filled with Russians and Chinese warships? Or how how comfortable would the British feel if, you know, Russian and Chinese warships starts going up and down in the on the English Channel, or go up and down between the English island and the Irish island? Just go up and down and try to defend Northern Ireland from England. How would that feel? I mean, the way you guys are saying that we are there to defend Taiwan against China is similar to if tomorrow the Chinese send a fleet of warships trying to, you know, defend, saying we are here to defend Northern Ireland from the fucking English. In reality, Northern Ireland was invaded by the English. In reality, Northern Ireland wants to be part of Ireland, wants to be free or part of Ireland. Does that give the Chinese the right to go over there and, you know, defend Northern Ireland against the British? What are you people talking about? Do you hear yourself? You draw yourself in this holy colors, in these holy lights, that we are there to defend freedom. Really? You think we are that stupid? You just, you know, torched the Middle East. Now you want to go torch East Asia. And you just need to prepare hearts and minds at home, prepare the common man's hearts and minds in order to attack the yellow skins. We were attacking the brown skins, now we have found a new target. Pivot towards Asia. Pivot towards Asia. It's like a cannon. This military-industrial complex is like a cannon. It has to be pointed somewhere. We have to keep building it bigger and bigger, better and more advanced. This military cannon has to be, you know, we have to keep feeding it. It's just that we have to pivot it. Once we turn it towards the Middle East and blow up the brown man, and now we pivot towards Asia, and we're gonna blow up the yellow man. Are you fucking kidding me? And you guys are the propaganda machine? Yeah. The yellow men are bad. They're aggressive. They're sitting at home working hard. They're aggressive. What? They should be smoking the opiums that the British are going to bring them, like before? Not working. Smoke the opium that the British brought them? Really? In reality, Mr. Steve Inskeep, the reality is that the only crime that the Chinese can be truly accused of is working hard. That's their only crime. End of story. The rest of it is your propaganda, my pink-skinned friend. The rest of it is your propaganda. Just like the only crime that the Iraqis committed was that they weren't paying the upper echelon of pink-skinned society in the West. They weren't paying. Just like the Arabs in the UAE and the Arabs in Saudi Arabia and the Arabs in Qatar and the Arabs in Kuwait, who are paying, literally paying, making their oil money. They deposit their oil money straight in Manhattan, in pink-skin banks. Now you have done the same thing with Iraq. The most important change to Iraq, in reality, the most important change that you brought to Iraq, in reality, was that now Iraq, right now, when Iraq sells their oils, the money from the oil doesn't go into Iraqi oil account, but it goes into an American oil bank account. Here is, in reality, let's be frank here, in reality, the only thing Iraqis at the time of Saddam were the only crime they had on their hand was that they weren't depositing their money, the money that they were making from oil. They weren't depositing most of it in Manhattan with the pink-skin banks, with feeding the upper echelon of the pink-skin society. That was their only true crime, and it was corrected after the Iraq War. How? In this way, that right now, as per, there is news you can read and you can find out. Right now, Iraqis are not allowed to collect their own oil money. The money they make from selling oil doesn't go to an Iraqi bank account. It goes into a pink-skin bank account. Uncle Sam's managers have a bank account which all the money from the sale of Iraqi oil goes into that bank account, and then Uncle Sam's managers give Iraqis a certain allotment, like a little kid who gets an allowance. Iraqis get an allowance from that bank account, which is in pink-skin land, which is handled by the pink-skin man. That was what all the war was about. They weren't paying their dues to the pink-skins. End of story. And now that has been corrected. Your money comes to us. We decide how much of this money you can withdraw. We're gonna give you an allowance. Folks, I mean, I don't know what else to say. You really think none of us understand these things? You really think that, we are that stupid that, you can run circles around us with your propaganda machine and nobody gets it? Because everybody's stupid. Folks, here's the thing. You may be able to run circles around, some Americans and some British common man, specifically because you have made the educational system so bad that a large portion of Americans and the British common man and woman can't follow. So they believe exactly what you're saying, because you made their educational system so bad and so worthless that they, don't have any idea of their own. They can't, find their own home on the map. They can't find their own country on the map. That was on purpose. You need a bunch of minions to, to tell who's the enemy today. Yesterday the enemy was the brown skins, and tomorrow the enemy is going to be the yellow skins, so we have to prepare. The rest of us on this planet, our educational system is not that bad, has not been that bad. So we actually get a little that what kind of, vicious propaganda you're pushing, Mr. Inskeep. And this time, you're dealing with a couple of nuclear states. Pivot towards Asia. It's like these Asians are the Asians of the Boxer Rebellion. We can kick their ass. We can kick their yellow ass. No, these guys are nuclear power now. All our asses are going to be kicked because of your propaganda. half the fucking population of the planet is going to die, and half of the population is going to die real fast in the nuclear war, and the rest is going to die in the nuclear winter. And you keep pushing the propaganda with regards to pivot towards Asia now. In 20 years, if this passes and we don't die of nuclear war, in 20 years it's going to be pivot towards Africa. This cannon of the pink skin has to be pointed at somebody and trying to blow up some race. Doesn't matter. Do you blow up the redskins to the smithereens? You eliminated the redskins altogether. You tried to eliminate the black skins of Africa. There were too many of them. You weren't successful. And you know, you're trying to eliminate. You try to eliminate the brown skins of the Middle East. Israel's still trying to. Israel's still at it, trying to eliminate the brown skins of the native brown skins. And now, pink skins of Northern Hemisphere are turning their industrial military cannons pivot towards Asia. Now we have to, you know, show the Asians who's got the big penis here. It's unfortunate. In fact, it's unfortunate that you are like this, and it's unfortunate that so many, due to lack of education, believe you. It's unfortunate. So much wealth and potential is being wasted on trying to eliminate other races. The pink skins spend so much wealth and potential trying to eliminate other races from this planet. That's the unfortunate part.